The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madeir, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Forever Fab podcast with my guest, Nancy Griffin. Now, Nancy, we've been talking about finances and preparedness and investing. We also touched a little bit about, financial vulnerability. So how can women financially prepare for major life changes, which are bound to happen, whether it's divorce or a career shift or, a work pivot or caring for aging parents or ailing family members? How can we financially prepare for that?
I know it's a little overwhelming at times.
Yes.
And, I often suggest that people need to have a lot of conversations with themselves because we get up in the morning and we just go, and expect our bodies to just go. And nothing changes unless your body doesn't go. And then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, it's a reality check. So anticipating potential health-related scenarios, I think, is really important. And that's why a wealth plan will have insurance for critical illness, disability insurance, premature death, those sorts of things. Yes. Nobody, when I had my clients, as soon as you start talking about insurance, they look at you like, I thought we were friends. And now I know you're trying to sell me some insurance. Okay.
I understand.
Right. Let's just play this through. If something did happen, are you protected? And it was interesting. I was on a podcast with this one woman who does a lot of real estate in New York. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned insurance. She said, insurance? Nobody's ever mentioned that to me before. I said, okay, well, what about all those investment properties you have? Do you have insurance on them? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Like insurance is a really, really, really smart part of a whole wealth plan. And the sooner you get life insurance, the sooner it is very affordable. Inexpensive, because when you're young, you're healthy.
Right. And
obviously the premiums are going to be. And then I encourage people to keep that insurance and turn that into a philanthropic statement longer term. So long-term care, that's a big challenge. That's a big fear for women because women's life expectancy is longer. And we know that women's likelihood for dementia or Alzheimer's is more prevalent than it is for men. So it's just so scary.
It is.
But at the same time, you have to anticipate those possibilities. And to the extent that you can, get that protection in place in advance.
Yes. Sage advice. Thank you. Mm-hmm. You're right. Insurance is not the topic that most people like to discuss, but it is a necessary part of so many aspects of life.
Right.
Beyond the numbers, Nancy, beyond how much we should invest or how much we should save or et cetera, what does a wealthy life, philosophically at least, what does a wealthy life look like beyond the numbers? How can women redefine success on their own terms?
Well, again, I've often said that if I have looked after my clients exceptionally well, they know what their wealth is or what their wealth plan is. They know what it is. They understand what it is and they appreciate what it is. And that gives them a whole level of confidence that they are in good hands. They're well protected in case anything happens.
Yes.
And then obviously, if they feel that confident, it then becomes a referral opportunity where they will say, I've got all this in place, and they'll refer other people to you to help them out. Jokingly, I used to say, if that person leaves my office and they feel like they've got everything in order, they'll walk into the middle of traffic and say, hit me, I don't care, because I've got everything in order. Everything's in order.
Wow.
It's easier said than done. But
Of course.
I think one of the areas that I've been focusing on a lot recently, which sort of ties in with philanthropy and legacy planning, is women's age of integrity. And women's age of integrity really is, I can't believe I've lived this long. I can't believe I've done this well. And I really would like to give back and find a way to help others.
Yes.
And again, so many people need help. So you decide who you'd like to help and how you'd like to help them. But that age of integrity really makes a further statement about a life well lived.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something else that we have in common, helping people to live a beautiful life, whether it's from the outside in or the inside out.
Right, exactly, 100%.
Now, let's talk about women who haven't worked in a while and they're re-entering the workforce, or women who have pivoted and either left work or lost work and they're launching a business later in life. What advice do you have for those women who perhaps hadn't worked in a while and weren't making any income and now they're re-entering the workforce or launching a business? What's one of the first pieces of advice you would give her?
Okay, well, two scenarios. One is working for a company, and the second is starting a company. So if you're working for a company, I think what's really important is to understand not just your salary, but what additional benefits that company is offering to you. And often those benefits are optional. You don't have to take them, but often because it is a group situation, you will get terrific value for what they're offering. So make sure you understand what benefits that company is offering to you.
Yes.
If you're starting your own business, then there's just a myriad of challenges that present themselves.
No kidding.
Yeah, right. Because the question is, are you incorporated? Are you a sole practitioner? What's your scenario? And maybe you start off as a sole practitioner, and once you have that success, then it leads into incorporation. But again, more importantly than ever, now you need several trusted advisors, because you need an accountant.
Yes.
Before you may have done your own taxes, but you'll definitely need an accountant. You'll also need a lawyer, because now you've stepped into the world of having a business. What is the product that you're offering or the service that you're offering? And you want to make sure you're protected against any potential vulnerability that could come up.
Yes.
The last thing you want to have is anything go wrong that you haven't created some protection for. Right. And as you and I both know, things will always go wrong. So smart people will anticipate worst case scenarios and make sure they've got protection in place.
Yes, indeed. Now, resources, a sort of a personal finance 101, so to speak. What resources may you recommend for women to first learn about making money and then managing or investing it?
I think reading, find a way to go get a great book. And there are all kinds of them. So go to your local bookstore or go to your library. Sometimes a library is a great place to start, because the librarian will be able to recommend different books. And again, sometimes women feel they don't know enough to even ask the question, because if you ask the question for some help, you're indicating you've got a lack of knowledge. So you're indicating a vulnerability. Get over it. Just ask. This is, I'm a new investor. I'm 25 years old. I want to start to build a portfolio. I want to learn, what would you recommend? Or I'm 45. I'm getting back into the workplace. What book would you recommend for that scenario? And don't be surprised when people go out of the way to help you, because often people just don't ask.
Yes. And that's why we ask the questions here on the Forever Fab podcast.
Wonderful. There you go.
I am asking the questions for many of our listeners.
Perfect.
Okay. So are there specific financial tools or accounts every woman should have in her financial toolkit, whether she's 30, 40, or 70?
Good question. Really good question. I've been encouraged recently to come up with a curriculum
Yes.
for what you need to do for your health and your wealth, starting at age 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, it's just a framework, of course.
Yes.
Well, first of all, you've got to live your life. So you've got to have money to support things that you want to do and that you enjoy doing. Really, really, really important.
Indeed.
But again, you want to live to be 100. So what do I need to do in order to prepare myself for that inevitability? So again, going back to educate yourself, increase your awareness, find a trusted advisor if you can. I think they will help you in spades. I'm a certified financial planner, and I know it's a designation that's fairly global. And a way a person can find a trusted advisor is just go CFP near me, and up will come somebody, and then just start interviewing and asking. Also, friends and family, they may have somebody that they're working with that they would recommend, but it's like doing your own dental work. Don't try. Don't even try. And if it gets to the point where you're sophisticated enough that you can do your own dental work, go to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
No. No.
Now, there are some women, as we talked about earlier, there are some women who are married and they have deferred their financial health and wellness to the spouse. Now, what would you recommend for women to become self-empowered, even if they're starting from zero?
Well, again, in a relationship, you want that relationship to continue. So you're always going to be respectful.
Right.
But if you've had a partner who's always done all the investing and just said, listen, I'm fine, I'm looking after this, you don't need to worry. Mm-hmm. Just don't go for it. You have to find a way to get involved. We know statistically that more often than not, when Mr. passes away, Mrs. will go and work with another advisor because they've never been included in those conversations or discussions. So that's why you don't want to be disrespectful. On the other hand, you do need to be selfish and educate yourself and find a way to a step at a time, literally, get more involved in what is going on so that when that person passes on, there are no surprises.
Yes. It's interesting because personally, I'm experiencing that vicariously because I'm watching my parents, and it's gotten to the point where my mother has now taken over the bill paying, et cetera, but she was never really involved in that. So it's a bit overwhelming for her.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is overwhelming. And again, she would have deferred to your dad and she would have been thankful that he was doing all of that. But guess what? One day you may have to know how to do all of this.
Exactly.
So the sooner you get involved, the better.
Now, how do you recommend that we practice self-care? We're talking about wellness, and you are also in the business of speaking and consulting with women on financial wellness as well as overall wellness. So how do you recommend that we practice self-care around money?
Well, again, it's having conversations with yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody knows what amount of money they have currently in their bank account, in their investment, whatever. And I think doing a frequent, not daily, but frequent check-in to all of that and asking yourself, how am I doing? Am I okay? Am I still okay? And if not, what are the gaps? And if you have a gap, what is the gap? And who can I get some help with, or how can I deal with that gap? So just don't let things get away from you without double checking on a frequent basis. How well am I doing? Am I still okay?
Yes, a frequent check-in, like a wellness check, actually.
Exactly, it is.
Financial wellness check.
Yep.
Now, for women balancing caregiving, career care, and self-care, just trying to keep it all together for themselves, what would you say is the one most important financial strategy that can help to protect their time and their resources while they're disseminating so much of their time, money, and energy all over the place?
Well, again, it's like keeping your head above water. You need to really, really look after yourself, especially when you're being pulled in so many different directions. And don't be ashamed of being selfish. Like, what small thing do I need to do for myself that's going to help me keep my head above water and to be positive.
Yes.
The last thing you want is some caregiver who's snarly.
Very true.
And they could be snarly because they haven't done things for themselves. If you always feel like you're giving,
Yes.
you haven't looked after yourself. So
that's common, and it's very difficult for women to do, to first take care of themselves.
Right. So delegate some of your responsibilities to somebody else. I mean, really, just don't feel you need to do it all. Sometimes women are their worst enemies because we know we can do it all. We love doing it all, but it wears us out. So don't do it all. Don't do it all.
It's true. Sometimes I defer to, just forget it. I'll do it.
Right. Exactly.
Nancy, this is the last question. The time flew by. They say when you're having fun, time flies. So we've been flying. So the last question is the Fab Five, which basically asks you, what are your top 5 recommendations for living a beautiful, fabulous, and obviously financially well life? I'll write these down.
Okay. Well, first is I think you own your life.
Yes.
And realize it's the greatest asset that you have. We know there's so many people in this world who have not lived as long as we have, or have not had all of the privileges and opportunities we have. So really, really know that your life is an asset and you want to live it as uniquely as you possibly can. And be selfish to a certain extent.
Yes.
I think, tying in with that is find ways to be healthy.
Yes.
Because as we talked earlier, if you don't have your health, then you're stopped dead in your tracks one way or another. Something gets in the way, you've got to focus on that. So know that being healthy has got to be a priority. I do not like the phrase work-life balance. I really don't. And what I always suggest people think about addressing something similar is address priorities. And we know that priorities change. Yes. During the day, during the month, during the year, whatever. But what are my priorities? Is it being available for that big presentation in your corporation, or is it going to your child's midday performance?
Yes.
You're balancing back and forth. If I don't do the presentation, I may miss out on that promotion. But on the other hand, if I don't go to my child's performance, what's the impact going to be there? And more often than not, when you've been careful about looking at those choices in which you choose, that something positive will happen on the thing that you didn't choose that you felt you should, like the promotion and the presentation.
Interesting, especially if it's done, I guess, with the best of intentions and with integrity. It's got to work out.
Exactly. I'm sure you've had these kinds of experiences. You go to your child's performance, you miss out on the presentation, somebody else gets the promotion, and you go, I knew that was going to happen, but I think I'm confident I made the right choice.
Yes.
But guess what? About a year or two later, or maybe 6 months later, you land something else that you never would have. And you say, you know what? It's a good thing I didn't go to that and didn't get that promotion because something better has come along. So, just be confident that the future will serve you well.
I like that.
When you're choosing priorities that you're comfortable with and confident with.
What helps me sometimes are a couple of sayings. One is everything in divine precision, and it's not an abdication. It's more of a, and the other comment I sometimes make is, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
That's perfect.
That just cuts down on the anxiety of, oh my God, I want to do this, but I have to do that, right?
That's it, exactly. That's spot on. Spot on.
Okay, number 4. I'm sorry, Miss Nancy.
Number 4, sharing. Sharing is really important. Yes. There are 2 kinds of people that I spend a lot of time with. One is people who are generous.
Yes.
And also people who have a sense of humor. If you've ever been with somebody who's humorless, you're not going to spend a lot of time.
Right.
And same thing with people who aren't generous. And, generosity doesn't mean that they have to give you gobs of money or whatever. It just is a generosity of spirit where, they focus on more than just themselves.
Yes, I love it. And the last Fab 5 way to live a beautiful life?
I would just say, be proud of the fact that you have a beautiful life.
Yes. Oh.
I mean, just really be joyful, be really joyful. And I work hard trying to be positive every chance I get. And I find myself when I'm sending an email or something that I always try to rephrase something so that it comes forward positively rather than, a downer.
That is fantastic, Nancy. Thank you so much for your positivity, especially on such a heady and, apprehensive, it's a topic that creates a lot of apprehension and anxiety, but thank you for your perspective on money, financial wellness. Thank you for your insight, your expertise, and your dynamic presence on this podcast. Thank you. I've learned so much and actually enjoyed it.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Shirley. It was my pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, this brings us to our close of this week's episode of the Forever Fab podcast with my guest, Nancy Griffin. To work with Nancy, please visit her website, womenworthwellness.com. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode. Until next time, stay beautiful and forever fabulous inside and out. And that's money.
My favorite expression is to stay vertical and keep smiling.
Yes. Repeat that for me, please. It's worth repeating.
Stay vertical and keep smiling.
I like it.
Stay vertical and keep smiling. Yeah.
I like it. Stay vertical. I love it. I will quote that. Thank you so much, Nancy, for your presence here today. We love you on the Forever Fab podcast. We hope you'll come back. To work with Nancy, visit womenworthwellness.com. To read and learn more about Nancy, purchase the book Turning Point Moments, an anthology of transformation compiled by Christine Closer on Amazon. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode. Until next time, stay beautiful and forever fabulous, inside and out. And that's money.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madeir, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.